Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Today I'm going to teach you the way to make the perfect cup of coffee. It's the steep over method that I developed years ago. I'm going to show you how to do it in this video, and there's a few things I want to kind of cover. Just to kind of shorten down on the video a little bit, what I did was I did a few things ahead of time. I went ahead and made the grounds here, just so you can kind of see. This is about how my grounds are. I use actually this is an older capresso burr grinder that I've actually had this since about 2004. I've had to replace the actual burr grinders a few times in it, but it does have a sensor in it, which I don't even think any of the new ones do. So what it'll do is that it actually shuts itself off when it detects that it's done. One thing very important: water. 205 degrees. Right now it says 206, but I have it set for 205. It's kind of holding at that temperature. To me, that's the perfect temperature for water. Um, I wouldn't vary that. You can vary the amount of beans you use. You can vary the grind a little bit, but I think water, I think 205, just from my experience, it's the perfect temperature for brewing. So what we're going to do here is, with the steep over method, what this actually does is does go in, and it saturates. You saturate the beans first, let them bloom up. Blooming is very important, especially if you have a freshly roasted coffee and everything. You have a little bit of off gassing, and then what it'll do is we'll fill the rest of the way up, not all the way up, but to the correct amount. Let it steep like that for a while, and we're going to actually have a 3.5 minute steep time after we've put all the rest of the water in there. So let's go ahead and get started here. Turn this on, zero it out. Okay, so when you go to bloom these, and the coffee I'm using today, it's from Columbia Street Roastery, which is in Champaign, Illinois. This is a very interesting coffee. It's a private. It's actually a private estate Ethiopian coffee. This is the farmer's name right here, but it's actually been processed with yeast for 40 hours, and that kind of gives it a little bit different character. It does some things with the beans that's kind of interesting, something you might want to read up on. You're not going to find too many places doing that. I love Ethiopian coffees. I love coffees actually from North Africa. Even some of the estate coffees from Kenya and everything are real good. Some Central American beans I really like, depending on what they are. I don't really drink too much Indonesian area, any of those Sumatra area, anything like that. I don't do dark roast. I absolutely hate dark roast coffee. So 205 degrees. What we're going to do is we're going to pour. I always do it by eye, but one thing that I have noticed is it's usually always between about 80 and 90 grams by the time I'm done here. Speed on this is not as important as the second pour that you're going to do. Okay, just real nice. Here, I'm going to let that get puffy. Yeah, just like that, 89 grams. Okay, so at this point, I'm actually going to set my timer for 4 minutes and 20 seconds, which is great for all you 420 fans out there. All right, so right now we're at 4:15. Once we got about 25 seconds gone by, we're going to do the rest of that. We're going to get it up to 350 grams total. And one thing you're going to notice is that I'm going to go a little slow on this. Imagine like a inkjet printer, just kind of, the way it does on your paper and everything like that. I'm going to do that. I don't want stuff to churn up, and you want to kind of hit the darker areas, go across, and then come back until we hit about 350. Okay, let's do this. Nice and light. Not too much water. Like I said, you don't want it to churn up. Hopefully you can see the weight here. holding the camera at the same time. I'm not quite as precise as I normally would be. Okay. All right, so 355. We're aiming at 350. So now, right now, there's 2 minutes 55 seconds left on the clock. Like I said, as soon as we did the part where we let it bloom, um, once I was done with that, which was, I think we were at 89 grams, set the timer for 420, waited for that to get to about 355, and that's when we started our next pour here. One thing I forgot to grab real quick is let me grab my mug. Okay, so we're back with the mug. We're going to go ahead and pour the rest of our hot water in here, get the mug nice and hot. Now, I have tried everything imaginable. I've had different drip grinders, different French presses. I've had the Chemex, the uh, vacuum brew type. I had a Hario. I forget what the bottle number was, which is basically just a fancy pour over. I've had the AeroPress too, which actually the AeroPress in fundamentally it's kind of similar to how I make coffee here, except that you really are limited by the size, and I'm not real big on using like the plastic and everything like that. Now, before I actually developed this technique, the steep over technique, um, so this particular method I actually used to do where I would do everything in a jar, and I would do the same amount of everything, let it steep in a jar, and then I would pour it through a filter, kind of like you would do like what you would use a pour over in. That's kind of where I got when I kind of realized that pour over coffee was just not nearly as good as doing it this way. But I would use the my old Hario setup and actually pour. I would make everything in the jar, let it steep, and then pour it actually through that Hario and then into my cup, and it made a good cup of coffee. So right now we have about 30 seconds left. I'm gonna pause this real quick, and I'm gonna empty out my hot water from my mug here. Okay, 10 seconds left. So this steep over here has a valve, so that's what we're actually going to let the water go into or come out through here. Okay, and then just slide that over. And this is a very non-rehearsed video, so I'm sure I missed something, but if anybody has any questions or anything like that, to everybody, I mean, with food or drinks, anything like that, everybody's going to have a personal preference. This is me doing coffee for 20 years. Very particular about the entire process from the beans to everything else. There's a lot of gimmicky stuff out there, just with anything marketing and also social media. You'll see something and they can show you a commercial and make it seem hip and cool, and somebody's gonna bite. And just like anything, if you think it's gonna taste better, then maybe it will. I haven't really been too affected by marketing, and to me, there's no other way to make coffee than the way I'm doing it here. It's very controlled. Everything's perfect. There are some very important steps here. So anyway, that's done. I'm gonna enjoy this. If you're gonna do this, the grounds to water ratio that I used was 24 grams to 350 grams of water. Now, let's say you're staying at 350 grams of water. That will get you, let me show you here in the mug itself. That'll get you that. That's what I make, every day, a few times a day. Now, I would maybe say, unless you just know you like your coffee really strong, I would say maybe start at around 22 grams, and then kind of work your way up there, unless for some reason you would think 22 grams is a little too strong for you. If you're using a dark roast coffee, which I just don't. I'd never have liked dark roast coffee. I drink my coffee black, so I prefer light to light medium. But if you are doing darker roast, I would think maybe you could go a little lighter on it, but that's all personal preference. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Any questions? Let me know. Somebody will probably point out that I probably forgot to mention something, but hopefully not. Hopefully this ended up being a good video. All right, thank you very much, and this is the steep over method for coffee, and I think you're going to find out that this is the absolute best way to make coffee. Contact me if you want. Leave comments below. Thank you.